Today you're going to design 3 things with me. There is some stationery, there is an invitation, a weird to-do list / planner, and a spooky notepad that I keep calling a block notes. If it looks like I'm dead inside, it's probably because I am, but mainly because I got into the Halloween spirit. Hello everyone, I'm Chiara and this is Purchase Hub, where I provide you with the right tools to succeed in life. In a few moments you'll see the past me before I printed anything. Please feel free to create whatever you want. You can do something completely different or tweak some small elements. So don't forget to subscribe and let's get on with it. This is my cat, Figaro, as you can see. He's very cute. Today's video is not scripted, so I'll try to cut out as much as bullet blur as much as possible. You have 3 options. You can use Adobe Illustrator, InDesign, Photoshop, or a combination of the 3, which is more or less what we're gonna do today. Basically, we're gonna use Photoshop to draw. I have my Huyun Canvas 13 with me today, and that's what I'm gonna use to draw, as you can see. I don't have my fancy glove today, but it's fine. In the screen right here, you can see right now some inspiration I took from Pinterest. I might want to start with the Halloween invitation, yeah? I wanna change the wording a little bit. Maybe something like, come for the booze. And with that, we obviously mean the alcohol, although I'm more of a wine girl. Then we need a date and a time, where, maybe a dressing code or something, where to RSVP, even though I would be sending this through WhatsApp. But anyways, because I want to edit the text to be curved and stuff like that, what I'm gonna use is Illustrator. Now comes the size. So this is an A4 paper. For whoever's not in the EU, A4 is kind of bigger than the letter, but the letter I think it's wider than this one. Anyways, what I want to do is Google the right pixels to send posts on WhatsApp. Okay, so apparently an A4 is fine, but I'm gonna try and figure out what size I want this invite to be. Half an A4 is A5, which I think is pretty nice. So maybe we can work with this one. So I'm going to select print, then A5. Where's A5? It's okay. We can do A4, then horizontal, and cut in half the longest size. And high 300 ppi, yes. CMY color is great for printing. Of course, when we are going to export it as a PNG, it's going to convert it to RGB, which is optimal for digital use. And then we want high 300 ppi, which is the pixel per inch ratio. We want that to be 300 because we need to print it, so it needs to be high quality. 72 dpi or ppi, it's optimal for digital use instead. So what I want to do here is just the wording, come for the booze, yeah, and then exclamation point to make it more balanced. By the way, one thing you can't say is that I'm not committed to my videos because I purchased a beautiful font for this video, just for this one. Hopefully I can use it in the future, but like, we're gonna pay the designers because it's fair, so we're gonna use this one somehow. Let's see if we can find it. Turn the mix, yeah. Ooh, beautiful. Okay, I think maybe Halloween party should be more important than come for the booze, maybe, or maybe not. So what we can do is copy and paste and see what works. Halloween party. Ooh, party. I think come for the booze works best with this one. A pairing font, which one could it be? Let's see. So my favorites are Railway and where's Plantin? Yes, Plantin Pro. Maybe also Vulcan regular. Ooh, we like this, but then it's too much. We're gonna select it maybe and use it for the notebook. Yes, I have a lot of fonts. Yes, I'm a font girl. Okay, let's see, between Falcon and what was the other one? Ivy Presto, and in this case we're gonna use text because it's not gonna be as big as display usually should be. Halloween party. And then I'm just gonna do undo and redo over time to see which one works best. I mean, this is okay, but I feel like Come for the Booze, it's already quite thin as a font, so maybe to contrast that, Falcon works well. Oh my lord. Halloween party, yes, all caps. Is it a Friday? Yep. Friday the 31st at Kiara's house. Bring your spookiest appetizer. I love appetizers. They are underrated. A party full of appetizers, best thing ever. Anyways, now we need to decide on the hierarchy. So Come for the Booze is the most important thing. Then we have Halloween party, which is kind of a given, so can be smaller. So I'm just gonna do like this for now. Friday 21st at what time? Yup. So this one's more important than this one. So Come for the Booze. Go to the center, please. Now we're gonna have fun and see, for example, with this one, maybe this is too much. Come for the Booze. Ooh, like that. Yep. Okay, I do not advise you to edit it from now on. It was better to edit it before, but if you have to, just click and then select this and you can edit the text. But again, I do not advise it because it needs to recalculate how to stretch it and it's gonna look not nice. So then we are gonna center this one and we're gonna put it here. Maybe we can put this one inside some ribbons, you know, those ribbons that go like this, they could be highlighted. Underneath this ribbon there's Halloween party, and then there's Friday the 31st at 7:30 p.m. Wow, beautiful. Okay, Friday 31st, maybe this one can be centered, and then we can do this either the other way around, but let me see first if it's readable. Not so much, is it? Okay, so we're gonna leave it like this. We're gonna do this 10 and not like this. Okay, let me make sure these and these are the same font size. So 33.741, 33.701. Okay, center. I'm gonna change this to artboard. At Kiara's house, yes, bring your spookiest appetizer! Exclamation point. Oh, we're gonna save it. Let's jump into now Photoshop where we can draw what we need to draw. Export as and invitation, just text, PNG, yes. Screen, no. New file, print, A5. CMYK. I've quoted, I mean it's fine. Alright. Okay, so now we're gonna put the PNG that we exported. So we have our text, and then we're gonna create a layer between the two, and what we're gonna do here is basically draw the banner that we were talking about. I'm gonna press B for brush. I'm gonna select a color, Let me think. What colors can we do? Maybe green and purple. Okay, I'm gonna use this one for the borders, and then I'll figure out if I like it or not. And then we can decide to color the inside with a light purple so we can keep the text black. I'm gonna activate my mirror. Yes, that's fine. Let me change the brush to a more like drawing thing. The drawing box usually works. I like how it looks. Maybe we need to resize it a little bit on the upper part. So I'm gonna select L, and then maybe, yeah, I think we can squish everything. So loop without pressing on Shift, and then Control T, and we can move it up. We can adjust with the arrows. Give it OK. Control D to deselect everything. Wow, looks great. Or maybe I have really low standards for what great means. But anyways, we're gonna adjust what we did here with the mirror thing. So press E to erase something sharp, thank you, and pressure sized. I'm gonna redraw it again with B. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to follow what I do exactly. It's a mini tutorial, let's say like that. Okay, so I want the shadow here. Okay, so we're gonna deactivate symmetry. So come for the bruise. So what we're gonna do here, I want it to be mainly black in the background, so I'm just gonna create a layer and I'm just gonna press G, select maybe a new color, have it like this, so G, and like this, looking great. Then what we want to do is create a background for this banner. So maybe keep on doing with this purple, but I want it to be different for the shadow. So let's go back and select a lighter color and then press B. Now hopefully we can press G and fill out the thing. Yes. And then we need to refine the difference between what we had as a brush and what we filled out, because it's gonna leave a millimeter, not even, of difference between the two. We can also just increase greatly the brush size of the brush and then go back and delete the excess. Okay, so this is one. Probably what I'm gonna do is convert the other text in white. So what we're gonna do here is duplicate. So duplicate layer. Yes, and then I'm gonna create a mask here and add a mask. And then what's white is what we can see and what's black is what we can hide. So what I'm gonna do is just press on the text, type Command I to invert the colors, and of course it's not completely white. So what we're going to do is go to adjustments, create an adjustment layer for the maybe hue and saturation. It's okay. While pressing option, I can create can't remember what's the name of the layer, but it only affects that layer over here. And I'm gonna increase the whiteness and saturation down. Okay, so now our text is white. Very cool, huh? So bring your appetizers. I left it black just because we can work with the background of it. Maybe we can do like a gravestone from which we can read, bring your spookiest appetizer, as if someone said it before dying. So what we're gonna do is create a new layer and draw our gravestone. I'm going to do it here. I feel like this one needs to be darker, so because I made a mistake, what I'm gonna do is create a new layer and this is where our fill-in is gonna be, so that's the color I'm keeping. And then this one, we're just gonna go to hue and saturation again. Yes, this is the one I use the most, but what we can do is decrease the lightness and basically just convert this gray to something like that, and then we can adjust afterwards. And now we can just brush inside and of course bring it down. Okay, so what I want to do now is to make it look like a gravestone properly. So I'm gonna actually duplicate these two. Ooh. Yes, duplicate. One is gonna be darker and one is gonna be lighter to show the highlights and the shadows of the gravestone. So here, for example, we can make it lighter. Yeah, something like that. Maybe a bit more. Okay, and this one can be darker, not lighter, but a little bit, yeah. Okay, so for this one, I'm gonna press E and I'm gonna delete if I want the shadow to be on the right. Okay, and I want it to be thinner because I want it to be as thin as the banner's line. I'm gonna be very careful about leaving just the right amount of line. If you don't want to be bothered, you can just delete everything and redraw it, no worries. Keep in mind you need to keep the same color because you have an adjustment layer on top. So here I'm gonna press 14. Doesn't need to be perfect, gravestones are not perfect at all. Now we're gonna go back to this one and we're gonna delete the one part that we don't need anymore. Then we're gonna go to the highlights and gonna turn it on and then delete what we don't need. Remember to save your file, otherwise it's gonna disappear. Maybe also the highlight here doesn't go. Please bear with me. Okay, and then we are going to perfect this one. Oh my lord, my computer is crazy. Our gravestone is done. So what we're gonna do later in Illustrator is balance the space, because this should have been in the center, but now the visual center is this one, it's up here. So we're gonna move it up, and the rest of the space, that's the side space that's empty right now, we're gonna fill it up with maybe 2 glasses. Maybe the glasses can be purple and the inside can be gray. So I'm just gonna hit X and sample one color. That's this one with I, and then B for brush again. So maybe we can do them exactly alike. So yeah, that's fine. Ooh, how are champagne glasses made? I can't remember. That's why I'm not an artist. I don't want to do the whole cap, maybe. I just want to do the glass that we could see. There's like a glass kind of thing at the bottom of where you drink. And I want to do that. Do we want this? No. Do we want this? No. Do we want this? No. Just gonna leave it like that. And then I'm gonna press X and change color. Add a new layer. Yeah. Gravity. Okay, then we press G. Build it up. Okay, then this one goes up. And we're gonna delete the excess. I think I want these to be more as our background, so I'm gonna take the adjustment layer we did for the darker gray and just put it here. Oh, no. Copy, paste. We can erase some points to show that it's a bubbly thing. And then we're gonna move them down a bit. So we have a space for the text to be put up. I'm not a fan of this grey. Maybe we can really make it like transparent, so not this one, this one. Okay, like that. Hopefully you can understand that these are glasses. Again, I'm not an artist. I'm gonna hide the text. Goodbye text. This needs to be filled. save a copy as, and then Photoshop PDF, working CMYK. High quality print is just for digital use only. What we want to do is to print it eventually, so press quality. It's okay for digital use also. Then preserve Photoshop editing abilities, we don't want that. Then compression, we want 300 pixels per inch. The output we want, US web code is okay. I don't want any type of convention, so to be safe, I'm just gonna press that. And then save PDF. Import this one here as the background. I'm gonna center it, and I'm gonna create a new layer where it's going to be, and I'm gonna move it down. Then I want this, and this, and this to be white. Maybe we want it to be not that white. Maybe we want it to lean towards the purple that we made. So yeah, something like that. So Halloween party here, maybe we can put it a bit bigger so it lines up with Friday 31st. Then we have this and this and this that have a great balance among each other, so we like that, and we're gonna bring it up. So we have now this empty space. What we can do is go back to Photoshop, move up the gravestone, and fill up the space. So this, and Ctrl T to move this, okay. And then with a brush, I'm going to extend this one and this one. And then here, I'm just gonna press M and G, and that's it. Then save everything and export again. Okay, so now because we have substituted the one that we had before, same name, we're gonna press yes, and it's gonna automatically change it to the new one. So now it has a good balance. We're going to adjust leading here. If it's 36, maybe 40, it's okay. I feel like it needs more. First of all, I'm looking at this, right? So I'm just gonna create a new layer underneath. Fill it up. Ding, ding. Okay, even if we did this, it doesn't really matter, because when you print, what you want to do once it's printed, you want to cut 3mm per side so that you don't have any white whatsoever. So I wanted to go a little bit deeper about the bleed topic, because I feel like I did not explain it well while I was designing the things. So this is perfectly A5. That means that it was printed on A4, because if I were to print it on an A5, the printer will leave 3 to 5mm border of complete white. Without resizing the design that we were making, made it print on a full A5, so not on A4. As you can see, by cropping out the white that was the result of the print, some parts of the design was cropped out. If you want to print on exactly A5, not A4, maybe you want to save some money, because at the end of the day, if you're printing 50 copies or 100 copies, it makes the difference. Keep in mind that you need to save 3 to 5mm in order not to have this cropping, but to have your true design. So here we have freehand, no, yep, okay, feels alright. I could spend more hours refining this, but I don't want to, because your time is precious, my time is precious. I like this one to be maybe here, okay, maybe we could have pushed the banner up to fill up the space, but even like this, it's okay. Maybe Kara's house needs to go a bit down. So we have finished our invitation. It's very minimal, but at the same time not. I think it's quite balanced, but if you want to fill up the background whatsoever. So I'm going to export it as a PNG for the WhatsApp, and I'm going to export it as a PDF for the printing. So for WhatsApp, PNG, yes. So high 300, maybe we can tune it down to 150 to keep the quality but lowering the heaviness of the file. Then type optimize, yes, we do want that. We want the background to be transparent or white, it's okay because we have our own background image. Press OK and it's gonna export it. Look at this, beautiful. In Adobe Illustrator you can save a PDF as save a copy and then select the PDF from the drop down menu, but you can also go to export as, invitation, print, and then proceed to select Adobe PDF. Then press quality. We want not to preserve the Illustrator editing capabilities or optimize for fast web view. I mean, yeah, but not necessarily. Compression 300. Even more, if you want really high quality printing, we can go maybe 400, but it's gonna increase the file size, so keep that in mind for these two. And then marks and bleeds. We don't have any bleeds, so we're just gonna leave everything here blank. The output, no conversion, so we're gonna export PDF. Alright, so invitation done. Alright, let's now think about the calendar / to-do list. Let's see which one we want to make, because I have a few references. I think we should do two type of things. One block notes, just notes, and then maybe a daily planner. So a to-do list, the daily planner should have also important things, and I think that's it. So we're gonna start with the block notes because it's the easiest thing ever. If you're an artist, you can showcase your drawing as the frame of the block notes. But anyways, I think it's okay to have this size again, A5 for block notes. We're gonna do this in InDesign. Okay, new file, print, not web. And then we're gonna look for A5. We don't need facing pages, we need it vertical. And the margins, we're gonna see it in a moment. And the bleed, I'm just gonna leave it like this. So because in InDesign when you click on print, it's gonna put CMYK colors directly and not needing of adjusting them anymore. Let's go to the prime page, which is the one that you want to edit for every single page in the document to follow the same thing. For the margins, okay, I have it in millimeters. Hopefully you guys have it in inches or your preferred measure, but hopefully you can follow along. 15 millimeters, it's about this. I don't know if you can see it. It's comfortable as a space because it allows you not only to write in those 15 millimeters, but also because if you want to add notes like date, or maybe it says for, I don't know, Hannah, someone, it's comfortable. So 15 millimeters on the top. On the sides, maybe I can leave 12 or 13 millimeters, so a little bit more, a little bit less. And the bottom, maybe someone's finishing writing something, so 15 millimeters should be okay. 15 top, 15 bottom, left 12, 12. So the number of columns, because it's a block note, we just need one column and that's it. What I'm gonna do is activate the baseline grid, which is useful to put the dotted lines on. To do that, we need to go to InDesign, Preferences, and then Grids. So let's see. If I write something, let me actually, ciao. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it, maybe. Can you please, no, not my face. It's quite big of a font. 10 points, it's about half the height I wrote. Can you see them? Can you see the lines? The lines is about 10 points. So my font is 20. What I'm gonna do is leave 20 of space so people can write very small as well as quite large. Okay, so the start, we want it to start at 0 with the margins, so not the top of the page, and increment every 20 points. Then the view threshold basically is just when you want to see the baseline grid. I want it to see even when it's quite zoomed out, so I'm gonna decrease this to 50. And see, now we are 75%. We're not seeing the baseline grid yet because we need to go to view, and then grids and guides, and then show baseline grid. we are now at 75%. If I zoom out at 54, we still see it, so it's good. Only if I go beyond 50, then it's not visible anymore, but this is great. So what I'm seeing right now is that all of these are complete, and then there's this little thing that's bugging me. So what we're gonna do is adjust the margins, so we can decrease the top, we can increase the top margin so that it fits with the bottom one. Great, and 19 millimeters, that's fine. I'm just gonna leave it blank. We could fill it up with date, column, person, column, title, column, but we don't need to do that. So let's go back to our page, not our master page. We're gonna save it as block note. Now we're just gonna create some lines, pressing on this weird thing on the keyboard, clicking on one point and going on the next. You don't see it yet because we haven't given it a stroke width or a color, so we're just gonna do that. Maybe 1 point is too much. I usually go for 0.25 or 0.5. Black, it's quite fine, unless we want the background to be black like we did for the invitation. In that case, we are going to draw a rectangle, going to center it to page, not margins, and we're gonna fill this up with not completely black, almost black, let's say, something like this, and voila. Because we don't want to edit it where we draw things and move stuff, we're gonna cut it with Command X and paste it exactly here. We are not able to see the grid lines anymore, damn it, I forgot about it. So what we're gonna do is, for now, invert the fill with a stroke, and then when we're done, we're gonna invert it again. So the line, we want it to be visible but not completely obstruct the view. So what we're gonna do is color it maybe with that purple again. So this one right here, yes, beautiful. Toggle the view with the grids and without the grid with W, and to see the presentation mode, then Shift W. This is just a pro thing. But anyways, we are going to move it to being a dotted line. So go to stroke, and if you don't see it, you can go to window and look for stroke here, and then bring it to your sidebar, and then type, and we're going to use either Japanese dots, even though you can't change the distance between them, or dotted. Let's see which ones look better. This is too small. Okay, we can personalize it, so we can go to dashed, and we have a 1 point dash, and the gap is gonna be 1 point, I said 1 point dash, and then the gap is gonna be like 12 points. Ooh, too much. 4 points, something like this. Looks nice. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is print tests. As you can see, this to/read planner, the purple of the lines, maybe they are not as visible, or maybe the text is not as big as I wanted that to be. That's why we have print tests. So once we have refined our design, then we can go to the print shop and have it professionally printed.
Who's this ugly duck? Hi, Editing Chiara here. I wanted to stress the importance of print tests, because even though in the video they're very light, in real life these two are very, very dark. You can't write on them. And that's what I found out when I printed them. I was caught up so much in the fact that they were beautiful, they were black for Halloween. Oh my god, best thing I've ever designed. Oh my lord, you can't use them. You can't use them. And that's the first rule of graphic design, to be able to use your designs for what they are designed for. So please keep that in mind. Don't be like me. Don't be caught up by the, oh my god, yes, we can make a black notebook. I mean, you can use it if you have a white pen, but if you're like the rest of us, not really. And I'm sorry, because I really love them. I'm pretty sure that if you just lighten them up just a tiny bit, they can be usable easily. But at the same time, as I was just saying, this one, for example, you can't even see the dotted lines properly. So yeah, again, print tests are important. I'll let you get back to the video. Bye.
And then I'm gonna duplicate this for the rest of the thing, making sure it is aligned with our grid. So I'm saying now it's still square, we just need to do this and this, and now it's kind of okay. If you don't want it to be a dash but more like a dot, then we're just gonna need to match the width of the stroke, so 0.5, great, and then maybe 5 as the space. Maybe 4 was okay. Yeah. Let me match this to the grid. Here, and here, this is matched. Okay, nice. Okay. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this. I'm just gonna copy and paste because that's the quickest way for me. Don't judge me. And the last 2. This is okay, it just means that we need more space, but it's fine. Now we have our block notes. What we're gonna do is go to the parent page, invert this one again, and let's see if we can see the dots. Maybe using a lighter color is better, something like that. Then we can see them. This is a plain notebook. I'm gonna duplicate the page because we want maybe a frame. Because that's the margin, I'm gonna use a square with M. I'm gonna click on a corner and create a random square, and then I'm gonna give it a centimeter for both sides. Okay, and then we're gonna align it to the margins. Once we've done that, we can select everything, all our lines, and then we can narrow them down like this. So now we can play with a frame. If you want the frame to be also at the top or the bottom, then we can get rid of 1 or 2 lines. And there you go. For the frame, we can go back to Photoshop. We can export this one as a PNG still or a PDF directly that we can substitute later, but either way it's just a reference to know where to draw what we want. Dots, not dotted. Adobe PDF print, press quality, not all pages, we just want the 2, we just want the second one, yes, no color conversion, next. Another thing I want to talk about is glossy versus matte finish. So as you can see, this is quite kind of glossy as a finish, but it's not given by the paper because I chose a opaque paper. As you can see in the back where there's no print whatsoever, it's matte. When you go to a print shop or a printer or however you want to call them, then ask if the printer that they have is InkJet or laser. Laser will give you that glossy look, the InkJet will give you the matte look. Then we go to Photoshop, close, and then print A5. No artboard, blah blah, RGB, no. We want CMYK, yes, thank you. Okay. Then we're gonna put this as the background, yes, thank you. And then we are going to start drawing. So because we want something to follow some grids, what we're going to do is draw this rectangle. It needs to be selected here. It needs to be as our margins. So it's going to be 15 millimeters and 12 millimeters. It's probably the country of what I just did. Yep. Okay, so I'm just going to rotate it. Yep. I'm gonna align it to the corners of it, and I'm gonna duplicate it so it resembles our margins. And then what I'm going to do is bring in some guides. If you don't see this ruler right here, just press Command R and you'll see it. Then drag this one to add a vertical guide I just want it to snap to this one, so I'm gonna press shift. The same here. And here. Now we have our guides. We can hide our rectangles. We can group them. Okay. And then we can draw some lines. Maybe we want that to be with the same purple, dark purple that we had before. So just press B. We're gonna increase the brush size to something like 40, and then just press shift so that it snaps to the guide and it's a straight thing. The guides in Photoshop acts a little bit weird. What I want to do is hide them or delete them now because I don't need them anymore. So view, show guides, clear guides. Okay. So we now have this beautiful frame. Maybe we can decorate it with spiders and cats and ghosts. Let's see what we can come up with. I want something to be behind the frame. So maybe a ghost that's really clear and light. Also maybe bring it up in the top so the eyes will be holes basically. And then we can literally just copy and paste. So copy, paste, flip horizontal and just put it here. And then we can edit it. For example, I think it's too bulgy here. Then, I don't know, maybe we want something like Spidey. And then maybe we want a skeleton hand, I don't know. Maybe we can put like title, things like that. I want to use that font that we couldn't use before, so let me just press T and we're saying spooky notes. I'm gonna hit OK, and then here, freehand black letter, perfect. Luckily, it changes the O automatically, but if it didn't, we could go to window glyphs, and then we could manually select a different O if the font allows for it. I'm going to resize this one. Let's go to the center, yes. And maybe I want this to be a little bit like this, so I'm stretching the font. Okay, nice. And then we're going to export it as a PDF because we're gonna print it. So Photoshop PDF, we can see I'm okay. Yes, of course. Press quality, compression 300, maybe 500, 400. No, 300 is fine. Output, no conversion, perfect. We're gonna save PDF. Just to show the final result also in InDesign, we can just go here. Okay, and that's our spooky notes. Now the only thing that we are missing is the notes / to-do list / mini planner. So we're gonna add a new page, and this page will have a new parent. Thank you. Page size A5, yes. Because what I want to do now is the daily planner / to-do list, but keeping the same ratios. So here in the B parent, what we're going to do is margins and columns, and now we want to have 2 columns. That's the to-do list and the primary things and other notes, whatever else needed. And so 2 columns. The gutter, I think it's too little. What we want to do is to have a visual balance, so we should have the same width as the margins, side margins, so it's going to be 12 millimeters. Hit OK. Let's see if this works. Otherwise, we're going to narrow down the gap. Okay, so 3, we're going to right click and apply parent to pages, B parent, and then we have it. We're gonna copy this one and do the same thing that we did before. So paste, but inverse this, go back here. Okay, so we want kind of like a bento thing. So we want 3 squares, 1, 2, and 3. What we're gonna do for sure is copy these lines and paste them here. The margins weren't enough. Okay. So 15, 15, then 12 and 12. Okay. Maybe the difference here can be 10 instead of 12. Let's see if it works. 19 here. And then, yeah. We want a square for the checklist thing. Let's do this. We want this maybe to be the same purple as the lines. I'm just gonna save the color. Just gonna go here, plus, there you go. This one, 0.5. Yep, right in the center. To-do list until here. We're gonna decrease this to here. We're gonna have this one here. The to-do list we set until here. And we're gonna do like this so we can write after the checklist. I'm not liking the size of this, maybe it's too big. So right here and right here, we now have to have a title because we need to explain what's this column for, what's this column for. We can separate these through lines maybe. Let's try it for now, up until here. And it's gonna be 25. Yep, and the title here is to-do list. Maybe we want to use the same font as before. So we are going to look for it here, F something. Okay, so I'm going to increase this to 14 points. And then I'm gonna center it so that the paragraph is centered and centered on this column. We are going to leave like 4 millimeters space, maybe 2. So Y plus or minus 2. Yep, minus 2 millimeters. To remember. So plus, we want these to be of the same color as these ones. Then I'm gonna copy and paste this one. So we have our to-do list, we have our to remember, and now we just need this to be converted into a normal stroke. Solid, then we want this to be 0.25. Mind you, this looks thicker than the vertical one because it's an optical illusion. Then we're gonna get rid of this, and then on this baseline we're going to copy this one and have a other notes. Alright, so we can go back to the parent page, invert the colors, and now we have our beautiful black list. I'm feeling there's too much going on here, so what I'm gonna do is, before I delete this one, I want to use it as a baseline grid without going back to the parent page and put it back to a black stroke. I'm gonna move this one in the middle. I don't need a baseline grid to do that. And I'm gonna bring down this line right here. And this, I'm gonna bring it up. Now we just need to export it as a PDF. So we exported it as a PDF in Illustrator, in Photoshop, and now finally in InDesign. A daily planner weird thing. And then in the PDF section, just select the same thing. So press quality. The range, we want the third page here, so just go page 3, and then compression 300. Yes, marks and bleed, we don't need that. Output, no color conversion. We can add like a small ghost as we did before. Maybe we can decrease the margins so that we fit a frame, but I feel like this is okay. Now we did everything that we wanted to do. I'm gonna bring you to future Chiara with her printed things. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe down below, and if you have any questions or want to point out anything I have left out, don't forget to comment as well. Instead, watch this video to learn more about the difference between visual identity design and brand design and how it can triple your value. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!